What's up guys, it's Jeff here from Worldwide Cyclery, and today we're going to go over the basics of upgrading your rear shock. So this video is going to cover the basics. We're not going to go into anything super detail oriented around the different types of shocks and the differences between all the different brands of shocks, etc. We're just going to talk about some of the basics of what you need to know when you want to replace your existing rear shock. So to get started, the number one thing you're going to want to know is the eye to eye. And what that is eyelet to eyelet measurement. So there's a bunch of different sizes out there, and there's some that are a little more common than others, and man, there's metric shocks and a couple different mounts, and it is a bit complicated, but the eye to eye is very important, and you can simply measure that on your bike, or you can even, contact your frame manufacturer or see if maybe they've posted it on their website. Some of them are cool and they do that, and some of them like to leave it a mystery for some reason. But the eye to eye is very important. So the next thing that's involved there is the stroke. So the stroke of the shock is going to be this measurement right here, and that's actually how much of that stroke goes into the shock. So eye to eye and stroke are your two most important things to know for upgrading the rear shock and making sure you get the right size. The next thing up is going to be mounting hardware. So mounting hardware is the little spacers, and this basically is a little cylinder that goes in the shock and spaces it out in the frame. So it's what actually allows the thing to be bolted up and work correctly in the frame. Typically, shocks are not sold with mounting hardware. There's a few different models that are maybe specifically made for a certain bike that will, come with it in the box. That's always noted. If it's a shock and it includes the mounting hardware for a specific bike, it'll typically say the title of the bike in the title of the shock. It'll say like Fox Float DPX2 for Specialized Enduro 2016 Plus. If it doesn't say it's for a specific bike, then that pretty much implies that it does not come with mounting hardware, and that needs to be bought separately. Mounting hardware, there is a load of different sizes for that. Because this width is, even on this Yeti right here, it's got a pretty big one in the back and a smaller one in the front, and a lot of bikes have different size bolts here. More common ones are a 6mm or an 8mm bolt. So you got to figure that out. There's going to be a link below which shows you as well of how to find the correct mounting hardware size for your bike and how to basically just measure it, because that's kind of what matters. If you pop your old shock off of your bike and you go through and you measure the stuff, the mounting hardware, you're just looking at the width of it really is the important thing here, and then the bolt diameter that goes inside of it is another important part too. We always recommend to get the same brand mounting hardware as the shock. So if you're buying a Fox shock, get Fox mounting hardware. If you're buying a DVO shock, get DVO mounting hardware. There is a little bit of cross compatibility between the different brands, but you never know what's going to fit, and there's a lot of different variances too on just the width right here, and Fox has their own kind of special DU bushing that's I guess it's a plastic or a nylon, which is different than what some other brands out there like Cane Creek or RockShox use. It's a more traditional old school DU bushing. So we always recommend, get the mounting hardware that's the same brand manufacturer as your shock. And of course, you got to measure it out on your bike or measure it out on your old shock and figure out what mounting hardware you have. So to sum up, eye to eye of the shock, the stroke, and then the mounting hardware. So those are going to be the most important things. And you need the top mounting hardware and the bottom mounting hardware for the shock. That's about it as far as basics for upgrading your rear shock. Any more questions you guys might have, you can always shoot us an email to info@Worldwide Cyclery. Happy to help out. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, thumbs up, leave us a comment. What shock are you running right now? Which one are you potentially thinking about upgrading to? Have you had any nightmare experiences in the past trying to buy the right size shock and getting the wrong size? That's about it. Have a good one, guys.